Oh my goodness, can you believe I have to ask this question? Can you believe it? Is MAGA or MAGA, is it a religious movement? Well, of course it is. It's fastly becoming a religious movement. And it has been for a while. That's why you see that literally is why you see the absolute delusion that goes on with some people concerning it. It's amazing to me. They've sainted Trump. Hey, Don, cross the Rubicon. I'm firmly convinced that Don is the Phoenix Rising. This MAGA movement is bigger than politics, as Hulk Hogan will tell you in a minute. Telling you right now. Look, all I can tell you is that after I was done, when I watched this last night, I knew that I was right. When I said, and you can go back and quote me, go back through my teachings for the last 8 years, and I told you politics was pro wrestling. Huh? What did I tell you?
Have more of the speakers, it looks like, who are going to be... Just keep listening.
No, I'm serious. I'm serious. No, yes, some guy said, he goes, when Hulk Hogan came out there, every 35-year-old male became an instant boy. Oh, okay.
Well, let me tell you something, brother.
Oh, all right. I'm trying to hold it together here. But okay. First of all, before I get into this, pray for my dad. All right. At about 1:45 this morning, my dad downstairs trying to sleep calls me on the phone, barely breathing. Like literally barely breathing. And he's like, you got to take me to the hospital. I can't breathe. So I wake up at 1:45. I was only asleep for like an hour, probably. Hour and a half, maybe at the most. So I race him to the hospital. And we're not too far from the hospital. So I got there pretty quickly. And got him to the hospital, and they gave him a steroid, and they gave him a nebulizer treatment, and right? And he's doing a lot better. But boy, it was scaring me. He was sucking wind pretty bad, man. He couldn't even talk. And when he swallowed, he lost his breath. So all they could think of is because of the cold that he had, that his lungs went into spasm or something. It came on him quick. So anyway, just pray for him. And so I only got about an hour and a half sleep there. Maybe. If it was even that much. And then when I came home, I tried to sleep for a couple hours. I might have got a couple hours of sleep. So anyway, praise the Lord. God answered the prayers. So if I laugh uncontrollably and I can't control myself, you'll understand why. Because Hulkamania and Trump mania are running wild on you. And you'll remember when you go back and you listen to my Trump broadcast, you just type in Trump to sermonaudio.com/Pastor Cooley. Type in Trump into the search box, and you will find everything I've ever said. And you will find that I said that pro wrestling is like politics.
You know something? When I came here tonight, there was so much energy in this room. I felt maybe I was in Madison Square Garden getting ready to win another world title. Or maybe I thought the vibe was so intense, the energy was so crazy, it felt like maybe I was going to press that no-good, stinky giant over my head and slam him through the mat, brother. But what I found out was I was in a room full of real Americans, brother. And at the end of the day, with our leader up there, my hero, that gladiator, we're gonna bring America back together. One real American at a time, brother. You know something? I've seen some great tag teams in my time. Hulk Hogan and, ooh, yeah, the Macho Man Randy Savage. But you know something? I see the greatest tag team of my life standing upon us, getting ready to straighten this country out for all the real Americans. You know, even though you guys are real Americans, you better get ready. Because when Donald J. Trump becomes the President of the United States, all the real Americans are going to be nicknamed Trumpites. Because all the Trumpites are going to be running wild for 4 years.
That's right, brother. And don't you forget it either.
So with the power of Donald J. Trump and all the Trumpites running wild, America is going to get back on track. And like Donald J. Trump said, America is going to be great again. You know, when I look out and I see all the real Americans, I think about how Donald Trump, his family was compromised. When I look out there and I see Donald Trump, I think about how his business was compromised. But what happened last week when they took a shot at my hero and they tried to kill the next president of the...
Oh, here it is, man. Here it is. Here it is. Yeah.
United States. Enough was enough. And I said, let Trumpomania run wild, brother. Let Trumpomania rule again. Let Trumpomania make America great again.
What are you talking about, Joe? This is absolutely epic. This is Trumpomania running wild on you, brother. What you gonna do, brother? That's what I'm talking about right there. So, the preachers and God-fearing men and a strong sexual ethic is not welcome, right? It's not welcome at the Republican National Convention. But what is welcome at the Hulk Hogan and a bunch of other perverts. Those used to be the 24-inch pythons, Fabian, I'll have you know, the largest arms of the World Wrestling Federation. Those were 24-inch pythons. All right, let's get that straight. They're looking like about 18 now, but they were 24-inch pythons. So look, if you're going to try to crack a joke in Hulkamania, you better make sure your joke is accurate. Those were the 24-inch pythons, the largest arms of the World Wrestling Federation. All right, let's... So keep in mind, is MAGA a religion? Sure looks like it, doesn't it? Wait till we get to Franklin Graham. We're going to get to Frankie. Yo, Frankie! Yo, Frankie. Look, you got to admit, Hogan looks pretty good for like 70 almost, okay? I mean, he's like 70. If you look that good at 70, then you can make fun of him. Well, you can make fun of him anyway, but if you look that good at 70, you can. But that dude... he's in pretty good shape for like 70, man.
You know something, Trumpites? I didn't come here as Hulk Hogan, but I just had to give you a little taste. You know, my name is Terry Bollea. And as an entertainer, I love you too. And as an entertainer, I tried to stay out of politics. But after everything that's happened to our country over the past 4 years, and everything that happened last weekend, I can no longer stay silent. I'm here tonight because I want the world to know that Donald Trump is a real American hero. And I'm proud to support my hero as the next president of this United States. You know, guys, I've known Donald Trump for over 35 years. You know, hold on a second, hold on. I just had a flashback. Man. This is really tripping. You know, the last time I was up on stage, Donald Trump was sitting at ringside at the Trump Plaza. I was bleeding like a pig, and I won the world title right in front of Donald J. Trump. And you know something? He's gonna win in November, and we're all gonna be champions again when he wins. And like I said, I've known that man for over 35 years, and he's always been the biggest patriot, and he still is. He's always told you exactly what he thought, and he still does, brother. And no matter the odds, he always finds a way to win. And when he's back in our White House, America is gonna start winning again. You know, guys, over my career, I've been in the ring with some of the biggest, some of the baddest dudes on the planet. And I've squared off against warriors, ooh yeah, savages. And I've even, like I said, body slammed giants in the middle of the ring. And I know tough guys. But let me tell you something, brother. Donald Trump is the toughest of them all. They've thrown everything at Donald Trump. All the investigations, the impeachments, the court cases, and he's still standing and kicking their butts.
Okay, so I told you that all the cases and everything are going to go away, and they are. That's going to happen, but it was all built up to get Trump into office. All of this stuff was built up. They cut him off years ago, 4 years ago, they cut him off Twitter. He started Truth to make $1 billion. He's made like $3 billion off of Truth. They cut him off so people would pay attention to Joe Biden, because nobody would have, because Joe Biden was like a corpse. Okay? So they cut him off, and in order to get his popularity back, which it never really went anywhere, but in order, they just put him on Twitter again, put him on Facebook again, put him on all the outlets again, right? And the reason for that is because it's all part of the game. It's all part of the game. So, you know, I don't know. Does it really matter if he got shot, really, or not? Somebody died there. Somebody got shot there. People died there. Some kid died there, right? There were thousands of witnesses to it taking place. So somebody died there, didn't they? So these people play for keeps. But I will tell you this. You can take any CGI and video and all kinds of stuff. It really doesn't matter. That's what the problem is. You have all these people focusing on that event. They're not focusing on what's going on, what the result of that event is. They're only, and I'm not going to waste my time focusing on whether that shot happened, whether I'm not going to waste my time on that. Because ultimately, in case you haven't figured it out, let me wake you up a little bit. It doesn't change anything whether it was or it wasn't. Because to people, it was real. And the outcome of it is what you're seeing right now. That's the point. Trying to prove whether anybody, you're not gonna. You're not gonna. How many people have been trying to prove the JFK assassination? And what happened? For years, Eric John Phelps wrote an entire book about it. Are you ever going to know? But see, that's the point. You're stuck in it. You're stuck in it because you want to know, well, was that real? So I'm going to watch 1,000 videos to figure out if they shot the nose hairs out of a gnat. But what you're missing is what's going on around you. That's the point of the PSYOP. Is for you to be focused on that and not what they did with the outcome. Look at the outcome. Look at the outcome. It's all that matters. What are they doing with it? What are they doing with it now? Just like 9/11. Well, you can think what you want to. Maybe nobody got shot. We're all living in la la land and nobody gets killed. Nobody got shot. The firemen didn't get shot. Nobody got shot. Nobody ever dies anymore. Okay, let's run with it. Nobody ever dies. Okay, nobody's ever dead. all shootings are fake. No people ever die. Let's run with it. Okay. Nobody ever dies. Nobody ever got shot. Okay, great. Okay. So then we can run around and argue with people that didn't really happen. Okay, meanwhile, what's happening? The agenda is being pushed off of it. And you're standing there trying to convince people that shot never happened and that wasn't real. Okay? All right, you keep doing that. And what I'm going to focus on is what they're actually using it for. Just like 9/11. Just like all of them. You're never going to be able to prove any of that. You're never going to be able to. But you know what I can prove? You know what I can prove? What they're using it for. That's what I can prove. That's what I can prove. What they're using it for. Why? Well, the evidence is right in front of me. There's a new religion being born in front of us. Well, it has been for a while. They've been pulling evangelicals along for a long time. And they have this group of people that are not principled in what they believe. So they have this religion, and they have this Masonic religion. And in this Masonic religion, there's the rising phoenix. Out of the ashes of everything that they've thrown at Donald Trump, out of the ashes of all of it, comes Trump on top. Trump doesn't have biblical Christianity, but he's connected to all of these people. Now the Spirit speaketh expressly that in the latter times some shall depart from the faith, giving heed to seducing spirits and doctrines of devils. It is Antichrist religion to the core. Let no man deceive you by any means, for that day shall not come except there come a falling away first, and that man of sin be revealed, the son of perdition, who opposeth and exalteth himself above all that is called God or that is worshipped, so that he as God sitteth in the temple of God, showing himself that he is God. Remember ye not that when I was yet with you, I told you these things, and now you know what withholdeth, that he might be revealed in his time. For the mystery of iniquity doth already work. Only he who now letteth will let until he be taken out of the way. And then shall that wicked be revealed, whom the Lord shall consume with the spirit of his mouth, and shall destroy with the brightness of his coming, even him whose coming is after the working of Satan, with all power and signs and lying wonders, and with all deceivableness of unrighteousness of them that perish, because they receive not the love of the truth, that they might be saved. And for this cause God shall send them strong delusion, that they should believe a lie, that they all might be damned who believe not the truth, That's what we're seeing, right? But had pleasure in unrighteousness. Okay. Now, this religion at MAGA, this religion at the Republican National Conference, you know what it was void of? It was void of a sexual ethic. They talked about God, right? They profess that they know God, but in works they deny him, being abominable and disobedient, and unto every good work reprobate. Welcome to the mesmerizing hippodrome of modern American values, where every twisted impulse and sexual perversion is celebrated while moral absolutes are mocked. Look at the guest of that claim to know God, but never rebuked anything. Let's see if I can find... Oh, we'll get to that one. Yeah. Frankie Graham.
From that platform, he rose when President Trump rose from that platform, he rose with his fist raised in strength, showing America his unshakable resolve to fight for them in this nation. I cannot explain why God would save one life and allow another one to be taken. I don't have the answer for that. But one thing I do know is that God loves us, and he wants us to be with him in heaven one day. And that's through faith in his Son, Jesus Christ. You see, the Bible says that God so loved the world that he gave his only begotten Son, that whosoever believeth in him shouldn't perish but should have everlasting life. When President Trump...
See, he doesn't mention any sin. He doesn't mention any repentance. He doesn't mention any of that, right? There's another one that I want to show you about that. Let's see. This religion. Hang on one second here. I want to show you this because this is a cute little story. Okay? This cute little story about how Donnie's not going to cuss anymore. You know, Donnie's trying not to cuss, right? Well, I want to show you something. And I want to do a comparison. I want you to think about this.
Ago, my journey, just a few short days ago, my journey with you nearly ended. We know that. And yet, here we are tonight, all gathered together, talking about the future, promise, and a total renewal of a thing we love very much. It's called America. We live in a world of miracles. None of us knows God's plan or where life's adventure will take us. I want to thank Franklin Graham for being here tonight. He's an outstanding man.
You know, you couldn't get real preachers there, real gospel preachers there, because it's a hellhole and it's a sham and it's a perverse Antichrist spirit. So who do you have come? You have the Jesuit Masonic coadjutor, Franklin Graham, right, who's working for the Pope. You have him come and he anoints your services and puts a Christian touch on your services. After you've had whores here, after you've had sodomites here, Buddhists here, you know what this is? This is Roman Catholicism. The MAGA religion is Jesuitism. That's what it is. The MAGA religion is Jesuitism. That's what it is. Because Vatican II, if you look at Vatican II, all those religions were represented. But listen to this story. So Franklin Graham can come here and he can go to this meeting and he can tell Donnie, stop cussing, Don. You don't have to cuss when you tell your stories. And is that like a sweet little godly moment? Wait, but does anybody remember what's a bigger issue? Now, I'm going to play that clip for you, but I'm going to show you. Here's a bigger issue. Right? Look what they did to the platform. The log cabin Republicans. Trump did this. Trump put this platform in. This sodomite platform. See? This platform sends a powerful message to LGBT conservatives across the country that we are not only welcome in the Republican Party, but a part of the movement to make America great again. It also makes clear to voters that the Republican Party welcomes all and is looking optimistically to the future instead of cynically rehashing old debates of the past. This is a platform of unity. We applaud President Trump for his visionary, inclusive, and consistent leadership, without which this moment wouldn't be possible. LGBT conservatives are more determined than ever to help the GOP fight the radical gender ideology of the Democrat Party. What does that mean? Well, they set up a new standard. Trump's standard now is homosexuality good, transgender bad. Homosexuality good, gender transition for kids bad. Homosexuality good, gender ideology for kids bad. You see how he just moved the goalpost and made it it's their religion. It's their religion. He did more to send them to Catholic churches. Right? It's more than Catholics. He sent them also to rabbis and all sorts of other groups. Okay? So here's this story about Don not cussing as if that's the biggest deal right now. See the psyop here? Why didn't you tell him to put the family back in the platform, Franklin? Why didn't you tell him to stand up as marriage between a man and a woman and a strong sexual biblical ethic?
He wrote me a note recently. I have a lot of respect for him. Sir, I love your storytelling. I think it's great in front of these big rallies. But, sir, please do me one favor. It won't make any difference. Please don't use any foul language. I was a little embarrassed. He said, it won't make any difference. Actually, it does. The story's not quite as good, but I've been very good. The story is not quite as good, to be honest. I've got to have a little talk with Franklin, but he was great. He's a great gentleman. His father was so incredible, Billy Graham. My father used to love taking me to see Billy Graham. My father would take me to see Billy Graham at Yankee Stadium. He had the biggest rallies you've ever seen. He was a good rally guy, too.
Do you hear that? Really? So your father, who was not a Christian, felt comfortable taking you to Billy Graham rallies. I'll tell you, because these guys are all Satanists. They're all Satanists. That's the truth. Their religion is Luciferianism, and it's to put the capstone on top of the pyramid. And that's what they're all doing. And to build the temple in Jerusalem, which is probably what Donnie is going to make sure happens, if God allows him. They're going to build the temple in Jerusalem. And they're going to start their holy war and their crusades again. They're going to smash the Muslims. They're going to start their crusades, and they're going to put a temple in Jerusalem.
But he'd get up, and he was a fantastic guy. My father loved Billy Graham. But I love Franklin Graham. I think Franklin's been fantastic, and I'm working so hard to adhere to his note to me. I'm working hard on it, Franklin. But if the events of last Saturday make anything clear, it is that every single moment we have on earth is a gift from God.
See, this is what you have to understand. When they say God, it's not the God of the Bible. It's not who they serve. It's not who they serve at all. They serve their own gods. Guess what wasn't popular there? Talking about marriage between a man and a woman. Really talking about gender ideology at all wasn't popular. Why? Because Trump's best friends are Bruce Jenner, a.k.a. Caitlyn Jenner, and the satanic Jenners connected to Kanye West and all the others. Remember, Kanye West is defending Adolf Hitler. You want to know who's going to be the most hated? It's people that stand up like this. Those daring enough to admit to believing God and holding to the biblical standard of sexuality, one man, one woman, within the sacred confines of marriage, are now the charming outcasts, the delightful pariahs, the final heretics standing in a culture that genuflects at the shrine of anything goes. Let's get one thing straight from the outset. If you believe in a biblical sexual ethic, you're a relic. You're a dinosaur. Stomping through a landscape that has long since declared you extinct. In today's America, the only thing less popular than holding to a biblical view on sexuality is perhaps suggesting that men can't actually become women. Right? In this brave new world, the Christian views of sexuality are seen as nothing short of bigotry. The workplace, formerly a place of professionalism and meritocracy, has now become the minefield of inclusive policies that demand not only tolerance, but outright celebration of every conceivable sexual perversion. And that's the Republican platform. They have over time been forming their own religion. And I'm trying to figure out where people have been, because I've been barking at this for 8 years. Spencer Smith, who's done all his, Divine Goddess movie or videos, I don't know what, Third Adam or something. I've never watched any of them. But I saw a clip of one that was pretty informative. It looked pretty good, but I just never watched any. But anyway, he said something has shifted. There's an element here that is completely different this time around. Seems spiritual in nature. Everyone is noticing it. I'm not sure what to make of it. Well, Matt Walsh is a stinking Catholic, Roman Catholic Jesuit plant. And he's talking about this. What is he talking about? It's Jesuitism. It's Roman Catholicism. It's the whore. It's Antichrist religion. You can't see my comment, but you know what I said? You know what I said? Where you been? It's called Antichrist religion. Trump seems like himself, but also a different man. Can't quite describe it. Whatever it is, the Dems will have a very hard time winning no matter who they dominate. Well, I've been barking about this for 8 years. Right? If you dare to believe in traditional marriage, expect to be hauled before the HR Inquisition, where you'll be lectured on the evils of your outdated and harmful views. Your career will dangle by a thread, and any hope of advancement will be snuffed out faster than a candle in a hurricane. Social life offers no respite either. In the age of social media, where virtue signaling is the currency of the realm, maintaining conservative views on practically anything, especially sexuality, is social suicide. Friendships once forged in the fires of shared experiences and mutual respect are now terminated with the swipe of a finger and a self-righteous hashtag. You're no longer a person, you're a symbol of hate. A walking anachronism in a world that demands conformity to its ever-enlightened moral landscape. When we go out there and preach, we're the only ones preaching. Because this Antichrist religion is popular now. Now you got men that are starting to see it. Reg Kelly said recently, so for 40 years I vocally have stood against the woke, ungodly, democratic agenda that pushed and promoted abortion and perversion. But now that party I stood with 100% all of my life betrays us on those issues. You expect me to be a hypocrite and say nothing? So when you say something, you know what they say to you? Oh, you're listening to the Democrats. You must have Trump derangement syndrome. You have Trump derangement syndrome. That's what your problem is. I don't have Trump derangement syndrome. I believe the Bible. So I follow the scriptures. So I go far beyond Trump's position on anything. I think he's a pervert. So here's their religion. Here it is. Here's Todd Stearns, Roman Catholic. Oh, you must be voting for Hillary. You must be voting for Biden. You must have believed what the liberals say. As if I'm left of Trump and his position is so strong and powerful, socially, biblically, I mean, that I'm left of him. What a joke. What an absolute joke. So check it out in the new religion of MAGA. Conservative media personality Todd Stearns urges Christians to leave their churches if their pastor did not mention the Trump attack during a service. Conservative media personality Todd Stearns has engaged in some catastrophically bad theology, urging churchgoers to find another church if their pastor did not mention the foiled assassination attempt on Trump's life over the weekend. Look, if your pastor did not address the assassination attempt in today's service, you need to find another church. There is a tremendous spiritual warfare being waged in this country. This is no time for limp-wristed, woke evangelicals. So if a man gets up and faithfully exposits the word of God and he doesn't mention Trump or anything else, then you got to leave their church. You got to leave that church. Really? He said, this morning, the entire congregation got on our knees and prayed for President Trump and the other victims of yesterday's attack. We also prayed for our nation. God is in control. He is still on the throne. Well, of course he's still in control. Of course he's still on the throne. Why wouldn't he be? Put another way, Stearns is saying that the church can have sound elders who faithfully and boldly preach the gospel through verse-by-verse exposition, lead the church well, have withstood government pressures to close during COVID, practice righteous church discipline, and create a truly healthy body of believers through their care and oversight. And yet, according to Stearns, if they failed to address the assassination attempt during Sunday's service, all the congregants should abandon the church and go elsewhere. What is this? It's a religion. MAGA is a religion. That's why you can't reason with these people. See, if I believe I'm right concerning the Bible, every earthly reason someone brings to me that's wrong against the Bible, I'm going to always believe my King James Bible, and I'm going to reject what they say. What he's telling you to do is believe Trump, believe the president at any cost. Why? Because he's their savior. He's their Messiah. That's what he is. He's their Messiah. And they are going to accept and follow him. He's leading their movement. That by virtue of not mentioning it during that specific service, these pastors are necessarily limp-wristed woke evangelicals. So let me ask you a question. Where in the Bible does it say that you can leave your church if your pastor doesn't talk about the world leader? Right? Where does it say that? Where does it say that's an acceptable reason to abandon your church? Nowhere. But this American Masonic religion, Jesuit religion, this religio-political religion, it's the Pope's religion. It is the Pope's religion. It's what it is. And if your church doesn't follow it, then you got to leave your church. And the prohibition doesn't seem relegated to only not American churches, but those worldwide, including Australia, Canada, Germany, Nigeria, Japan. All must bow the knee and talk about this attempt on the former president's life, lest they be disqualified. It is completely unbiblical and trashy take, and Starnes should delete his post for trying to get Christians to abandon good churches over this stupid reason. But why is he doing it? Because it's a religion. For many of these people, the MAGA movement is a religion. It just is. It's what it is. Here's another example. You ready?
It was truly.
This is Marjorie Taylor Greene.
Like God's hand is on his shoulder. Your thoughts?
I believe it.
Seems like God's hand is on his shoulder. Your thoughts?
I believe it. I believe we all witnessed a miracle, literally. From, before it happened, the flag above got blown in the wind and it got tied into literally what looked like an angel. Did you see that video?
I didn't see it.
Oh my gosh, you guys have to find that. It was truly, it was like an angel coming down, and it was the American flag tied. They had to bring it down, and all the people in the stands helped unravel it, and it was literally before he came out on the stage.
Seems like God's hand is on his shoulder. Your thoughts?
I believe it. I believe we all witnessed a miracle, literally. From, before it happened, the flag above got blown in the wind and it got tied into literally what looked like an angel. Did you see that video?
I didn't see it.
Oh my gosh, you guys have to find that. It was truly, it was like an angel coming down, and it was the American flag tied. They had to bring it down, and all the people in the stands helped unravel it, and it was literally before he came out on the stage.
One more time.
Seems like God's hand is on his shoulder. Your thoughts?
I believe it. I believe we all witnessed a miracle, literally. From, before it happened, the flag above got blown in the wind and it got tied into literally what looked like an angel. Did you see that video?
I didn't see it.
Oh my gosh, you guys have to find that. It was truly, it was like an angel coming down, and it was the American flag tied. They had to bring it down, and all the people in the stands helped unravel it, and it was literally before he came out on the stage.
I mean, if this doesn't sound like absolute worship, I don't know what does. First of all, that's a Jezebel right there. She's to be home taking care of her family. She lost her marriage, like that other bimbo Bobart did. they lose their marriage, they divorce their husbands, because how could their husbands rule over them when they're out ruling the world, when they're out being the rulers of the world? So you have these women that they just look good or decent, and they put them into power, and they're out ruling in Congress, and then you're going to come home and submit yourself to your husband? Yeah, right. That's never going to happen. And they all claim to know God, right? Because they're Jezebels. Bobart the bimbo's the same way. Tight fit clothing. Right? Dressing like whores. The whole Republican National Convention was full of many women speaking. Some of them were whores. And here she is saying that, oh, the flag, because it got twisted up. The flag got twisted up. It looked like an angel that protected Trump. Wow. Okay. Man, people are lame. This is what happens when your country is filled with bad theology. And, excuse me, this is what happens when your churches are filled with bad theology. This is what happens. Women get up, silly women laden with sins.
Seems like God's hand is on his shoulder. Your thoughts?
I believe it. I believe we all witnessed a miracle, literally. From, before it happened, the flag above got blown in the wind and it got tied into literally what looked like an angel. Did you see that video?
I didn't see it.
Oh my gosh, you guys have to find that. It was truly, it was like an angel coming down, and it was the American flag tied. They had to bring it down, and all the people in the stands helped unravel it, and it was literally before he came out on the stage.
Man, is she an idiot. She is an absolute idiot. I mean, dumber than a box of rocks spiritually. What does the Bible say? Even him whose coming is after the working of Satan with all power and signs and lying wonders. What is this? It's a religion. Well, you heard it. I mean, Mother Teresa, she saw Jesus in the cornflakes, right? So, I mean, people see it all the time. It's just the religion of Catholicism. It shows you how easily deceived women are. And the Bible warned about that that's why women are never to lead. They're not to lead in the home, they're not to lead in the church, and they're not to lead in the world. Why? Because they're easily deceived. Easily deceived. That's why they're not supposed to be leaders. That's the whole purpose. I had some preacher unfriend me and get mad at me because I said that. Right? He got mad at me and unfriended me. I've known him for like 20 years. He unfriended me. Why? Because I said women are easily deceived. The Bible says that. That's why they're not supposed to be leaders. So I showed him in the scriptures and he still got mad at me. I said, oh, okay. Sounds good. That's the way it is, right? Okay, now we're going to listen to this. This is going to further prove. They don't lead the home, they guide the home. The father rules the home. The mother guides the home. She guides according to the example that she guides according to the biblical leadership of her husband.
I've spent most of my life in Washington where the video of what happened in Butler, Pennsylvania about 50 times. I think I was one of about 8 billion people around the world who watched it. And the more I watched it, the more it struck me that everything was different after that moment. Everything. And this convention is different. The nation is different. The world is different. Donald Trump is different. When he stood up after being shot in the face, bloodied, and put his hand up, I thought at that moment.
Now I want to remind you of something. Let me get to it here. Let me see. About 9 months ago, I warned you about Tucker Carlson and Alex Jones when they did their interview, right? And the religion that they're pushing. Right? The religion that they're pushing. If you haven't heard this, go back and listen to this. Alex Jones and Tucker Carlson, Antichrist operative, psyops. Okay. If you go back and watch that, you'll better understand this clip.
That was a transformation. This was no longer a man.
Did you hear that? That was a transformation. Okay, are you ready? Who thinks that Trump went through a Masonic Jesuit ritual there at that event? There is a Masonic Jesuit ritual, or Jesuit Masonic, whichever way you want, still Antichrist religion, a ritual there. Yeah. Because, see, they're talking about the transformation. Right? They're talking about the transformation. So if you really want my opinion and what I believe is going on here, it was a Masonic ritual. By the way, that doesn't mean it's fake. There's certain pains that go along with rituals. There's certain blood that has to be offered along with rituals. Right? Uh-huh. Maybe this was a consecration for the work that Trump is going to do. And I'm not talking biblical work. I'm talking about Antichrist work. You following me? And I don't have this in my notes, and it just, I believe the Lord just impressed it upon me. That there's a ritual there. There's a ceremony that took place. Listen to what all the people are saying about it.
Everything was different after that moment. Everything. And this convention is different. The nation is different. The world is different. Donald Trump is different. When he stood up after being shot in the face, bloodied, and put his hand up, I thought at that moment, that was a transformation. This was no longer a man. Well, I think that. I think it was divine intervention. But
here he stops. This is no longer a man. And I know he's going to continue it right after that. These guys are not Christians. They have their own religion.
In the face, bloodied, and put his hand up. I thought at that moment, that was a transformation. This was no longer a man. Well, I think that. I think it was divine intervention. But the effect that it had on Donald Trump, he was no longer just a political party's nominee or a former president or a future president. This was the leader of a nation.
This was the leader of a nation. You know, later on in Donald Trump's speech, if you listen to his speech, he talks about the golden age. We're going to enter a golden age. Do you hear it? If you listen to his speech, he said, we're going to enter a golden age. Huh.
And I think there's a difference. I've spent most of my life in Washington, where the president is at the top of the pyramid. Everyone wants to be the president. But if you think about it, the presidency comes with great power, obviously. But if you think about it, that is a title that is bestowed by a process of some sort that can be subverted. And in the end, it does not confer by itself, as no title does, legitimacy. Just because you call yourself the president doesn't mean that much inherently. I can call my dog the CEO of Hewlett-Packard. It doesn't mean she is. No, it's true. And you hate to say it, but it is also true, it is a fact, that you could take, a mannequin, a dead person, and make him president. You could. I'm just saying theoretically possible. With enough cheating, that could happen. But being a leader is very different. It's not a title. It's organic. You can't name someone a leader. A leader is the bravest man. That's who the leader is. That is true in all human organizations. This is a law of nature. And in that moment, Donald Trump, months before the presidential election, became the leader of this nation. That was the most obvious to me. And I have to say, I think it changed him. He reached out to Trump within hours of it.
So he's saying, I think it changed him. Okay? He said it was a transformation. That's what he said. It's a transformation. Right? A transformation.
That night, and what he said to me that night, having just been shot in the face, he said not a single word about himself. He said only how amazed he was and how proud he was of the crowd, which didn't run. And I thought two things. the first thing I thought was, well, of course they didn't run. His courage gave them heart. A leader's courage gives courage to his people.
Now, that's not wrong entirely. That's a principle, right? Be strong and of good courage. So we do give courage to people. That's what encouragement means. It means to give them courage, right? Like endure hardships, right? Endurance, we talk about it. Encourage, right? So that part is true. But this is wholly void of biblical precept. This is another religion.
And the second thing I thought was, this is the selfish guy I've been hearing about for 9 years, really, not a word about himself, about his people, period. And the second thing I noticed, which I don't think anyone has remarked upon in public, but I'm just going to since I don't have a script, like why not, is that he turned down the most obvious opportunity in politics to inflame the nation after being shot. To inflame the nation.
Well, that part's true, but I think that's calculated. See, I think that part is calculated. Because by it, he is building trust with people. By doing what he did, he is building trust and the deception grows stronger. I believe the deception is much stronger because he didn't use it. He has calculated this for his best interests. And for the future agenda.
Which is an opportunity that almost every other politician I've ever met, and certainly his opponents, would have taken instantly. And they would have said, well, what is this? How did he get shot? Like, how did this happen? And those are real questions that we have to get to the bottom of. But in the moments, the days...
By the way, if I was going to try to deceive someone, right? And make them think that I was not part of a deep state, right? Then I would have a deep state conspiracy in front of all attack me. Or it was a ritual, right? Or it was a ritual. In order to gain power. Well, I have a question for you. Here's your question. Are you ready? Are you ready? Here's your question. Do you believe through what happened that that Trump gained power? Do you? That's the question I have for you. I want you to, did Trump gain power? Now I'm going to play a song here. I'm going to give you time to answer that, right?
I'm kind of homesick for a country to which I have never been before. No sad goodbyes will there be spoken. and time won't matter anymore. Beulah land, I'm longing for you, and someday on thee I'll stand. There my home shall be eternal. Beulah land, sweet Beulah land. I'm looking now across that old river to where my faith shall end in sight. There's just a few more days to labor, and I will take my heavenly flight. Beulah land, I'm longing for you, and someday on thee I'll stand. There my home shall be eternal. Beulah land, sweet Beulah land. Beulah land, sweet Beulah.
2 Kings 9:22, and it came to pass when Joram saw Jehu that he said, "Is it peace, Jehu?" And he answered, "What peace, so long as the whoredoms of thy mother Jezebel and her witchcrafts are so many?" Here's another word I want you to look at. Three times that word bewitched is used. But there was a certain man called Simon, which before time in the same city used sorcery and bewitched the people of Samaria, giving out that himself was some great one. And to whom they all gave heed from the least to the greatest, saying, "This man is the great power of God." And to him they had regard, because that of a long time he had bewitched them with sorceries. Okay? O foolish Galatians, who hath bewitched you, that ye should not obey the truth, before whose eyes Jesus Christ hath been evidently set forth crucified among you? That little event was used to bewitch people, whether real, doesn't matter. I mean, it's a ceremony. It was a ceremony. By the way, you do realize when they killed JFK, that was a ceremony too? They still killed him, though. Right? It's part of the signs and lying wonders. But if it's part of witchcraft, it has power. Let me show you. It's the same spirit of this. Oops. And the beast which I saw, Revelation 13, and the beast which I saw was like unto a leopard, and his feet were as the feet of a bear, and his mouth as the mouth of a lion. And the dragon gave him his power and his seat and great authority. And I saw one of his heads as it were wounded to death, and his deadly wound was healed. And all the world wandered after the beast. Are you paying attention? Are you paying attention, kids? What's going on now? All the world is wandering after the beast. Same spirit that will happen in the end. Everyone watched the ritual. And I saw one of his heads as it were wounded to death, and his deadly wound was healed. And all the world wondered after the beast. You should have been dead. You should have died. I can't believe you made it. That's the hand of God. And I saw one of his heads as it were wounded, and his deadly wound was healed, and all the world wondered after the beast. And they worshiped the dragon, which gave power unto the beast. And they worshiped the beast, saying, who is like unto the beast? Who is able to make war with him? What did Hollywood Hogan tell you? Trump, he's the toughest man. What did Dana White tell you? He's the toughest man in the world. And there was given on him a mouth speaking great things and blasphemies, and power was given on him to continue 42 months. That's 3.5 years, isn't it? Now, I mean, I'm not saying Trump's the Antichrist, but his term would be 4 years. 3 years and 6 months. I don't know what that means. Pastor, is this reading the first time it was shown up in America? I'm not sure what that means. I'm sorry. I don't quite understand that. You'd have to explain that. What you mean by that? And it was given unto him to make war with the saints and overcome them, and power was given unto him over all kindreds and tongues and nations. And all that worship, and all that dwell upon the earth shall worship him, whose names are not written in the book of life of the Lamb slain from the foundation of the world. If any man have an ear, let him hear. He that leadeth the captivity shall go into captivity. He that killeth with the sword must be killed with the sword. Here is the patience and the faith of the saints. And I beheld another beast coming up out of the earth, and he had 2 horns like a lamb, and he spake as a dragon. And he exercised all the power of the first beast before him, and causeth the earth and them that dwell therein to worship the first beast, whose deadly wound was healed. And he doeth great wonders. He doeth great wonders. Look, we're going to use AI. We're going to cure cancer. We're going to cure Alzheimer's. Deceiveth them that dwell on the earth by the means of those miracles which he had power to do in the sight of the beast, saying them that dwell on the earth that they should make an image to the beast, which had the wound by a sword and did live. And he had power to give life unto the image of the beast, that the image of the beast should both speak and cause that as many would not worship the image of the beast should be killed. And he causeth all, both small and great, rich and poor, free and bond, to receive a mark in their right hand or in their foreheads, that no man might buy or sell, save he that had the mark, or the name of the beast, or the number of his name. Here is wisdom. Let him that hath understanding count the number of the beast, for it is the number of a man, and his number is 666. No, because they all come in the spirit. Most worldly leaders come in the spirit of Antichrist. Alexander the Great, Antichrist. Antiochus Epiphanes, Antichrist. Hitler, Antichrist. Part of it, right? Okay, we better finish this up. I only got a few hours of sleep, and I don't get paid overtime, so I'm pushing this along right now.
The week after the shooting, he did not say that. He did his best to bring the country together, and I thought, this is the divisive figure, this is the irresponsible person. No. This is the most responsible, unifying behavior of a leader I think I've ever seen. So the question is, where is he leading us? And I could go on for hours, but let me just sum it up. I do think the entire point from the famous escalator ride 9 years ago until...
Wait, what did he say? Well, where is he? The question is, where is he leading us?
Unifying behavior of a leader I think I've ever seen. So the question is, where is he leading us? And I could go on for hours, but let me just sum it up. I do think the entire point from the famous escalator ride 9 years ago until today of Donald Trump's public life has been to remind us of one fact, which is a leader's duty is to his people, to his country, and to no other. That's the point. That's the only point. And another word for this is democracy. Democracy, in case you're a little sick of being beaten in the face with democracy on television, actual democracy is the proposition that the citizens of a country own that country. They're not renters, they're not serfs, they're not slaves, they are the owners of the country. And for that to be true, their leaders have to represent them, which is another way of saying they have to do what the people want them to do, or a close approximation thereof. But if they completely ignore what people want, not just 1 year, but generationally, say for 50 years, then it may be, I don't know what, it's not a democracy. And so I think the entire Trump project, paradoxically, is attacked as an enemy of democracy, is to return democracy to the United States. Hey, let's pay attention to what people actually want. And the lack of interest in that question in Washington is something that ultimately drove me out of the city after 35 years. Lawmakers stepping over the prostrate bodies of their fellow citizens ODing on drugs to go cast votes to send money to some foreign country. Yeah, actually, we've lost more Americans from drugs in the past 4 years than we lost in World War II. Yeah. Our bloodiest war, more than we lost in World War II. Does anybody care? It is pathetic. It is pathetic. And do you hear a single word from Washington about doing anything about it? We know where the drugs are coming from. We know the supply routes. The U.S. military spent billions bombing the Ho Chi Minh Trail. You don't see our commander-in-chief suggesting that we use our military to protect our country or the lives of its citizens. No, that's for Ukraine. And it's too much, actually. It's too insulting. It's too insulting. It's a middle finger in the face of every American. It's a very clear statement, which is unmistakable. And that is, we don't care about you. And Donald Trump, whatever you say about him, and I think he's a wonderful person. I know him well. By the way, the funniest person I've ever met in my life, actually. You can't be funny without perspective or without empathy, which is true. But everything else about Trump aside, he actually cares because he's interested in the people who live here because that's his job. A father's job, his duty is to his family. An officer's duty is to his men. A president's duty is to his citizens. And he seems to be the only one who thinks that. And in his choice for vice president, J.D. Vance, he's made that really clear. J.D. Vance, I'll say this about him, is a thoroughly decent man, and I'll just admit it, a friend of mine, one of the very few politicians in Washington who actually is very close to his own wife, which is wonderful to see. And she's wonderful, actually. But J.D. Vance has views that are closer to Trump's voters than anyone else in Washington in office. Therefore, he's the vice president. That's called democracy. So I will stop on just one point, and that is what's happened over the past month since the debate, and particularly on Saturday in Butler. I think a lot of people are wondering, what is this? This doesn't look like politics. Something bigger is going on here.
This doesn't look like politics. Something bigger is going on here. Here, he's going to hit you up with it. He's going to tell you what it is.
I think even people who don't believe in God are beginning to think, well, maybe there's something to this, actually. And I'm starting to think it's going to be okay, actually. I do think that. In the day after the midterm elections in 2018, Antifa came to my house. The Democratic Party's militia, okay? I was at work. It was obvious when I was at work because it was public. My wife was home alone. They tried to come in through the front door. They terrorized her. She hid in our pantry. It was on television. It was horrible, actually. It was, I mean, I'm not whining about it. I wasn't getting shot in the face, but it wrecked our day. And the next morning, we're lying in bed, and the phone rings for my wife, and it's Donald Trump, who's not like a regular text buddy of Donald Trump's. She picks it up, hello? Susie, it's Donald Trump. And it's coming through, I could hear it. You know, I'm lying in bed, whoa. And the first thing he says is, I'm gonna stand guard outside your house. And she goes, oh, it's so nice. And he says, I'll never forget this as long as I live. He says, you know, there's a lot of hate out there. And she said, you know, there is, Mr. President. And then he says, but there's a lot of love. There's a lot of love. And we are seeing that love. I don't think it's human love. And I'll just stop with this. I'm not always convinced that I'm on the right side. I've been on the wrong side many times. You'll never hear me say, I'm on God's side, or God's with me, or even I'm with God. I want to be, not sure I am. But I will say this unequivocally and conclusively.
Wow, isn't that something? He's admitting that he's not with God. He's not on the Lord's side. Right? Because he's not a Christian. But his God is different.
Or God's with me, or even I'm with God. I want to be, not sure I am. But I will say this unequivocally and conclusively. God is among us right now. And I think that's enough. God bless you.
He said, God is among us. And I think that's enough. Which God? You know, the question is, which God? You know, that's the real question. That you'd have to be able to answer, right? Which God is among them? That's the real question, isn't it?
Woman, our meat.
Here you go.
Dylan. Woman, our meat, Dylan.
Thank you, everyone. These last 48 hours have been some of the most intense, yet most prayerful of our lives. The heinous attack on President Trump and his supporters made all of us pause and seek answers and comfort. I come from a family of Sikh immigrants. I am honored to share with you, my fellow Republicans and guests tonight, a prayer from my faith tradition practiced by over 25 million worldwide. We recite the Ardas prayer before any new endeavor, giving thanks to God and asking for his protection and help to uphold the values of humility, truth, courage, service, and justice for all. To show respect, we cover our heads when we pray.
It's not respect, it's submission. Right? It's submission. So the Bible says it is. For them, they call it respect.
तू ठाकर तुम पे अरदास जियो पिंड सब तेरी रास तुम मात पिता हम बारक तेरे तुमरी कृपा में सुख कनेरे कोई न जाने तुमरा अंत ऊंचे ते ऊंचा भगवंत सगल समगरी तुमरे सूतर धारी तुम ते होए सो आज्ञाकारी तुमरी गत मित तुम ही जानी नानक दास सदा कुर्बानी. Dear Waheguru, our one true God, we thank you for creating America as a unique haven on this earth where all people are free to worship according to their faith. We seek your blessings and guidance for our beloved country. Please bless our people with wisdom as they vote in the upcoming election, and please bless with humility, honesty, skill, and integrity all those who conduct the election. Finally, we thank you for the Chardi Kala spirit that we have witnessed in President Trump. That is, the tireless and uplifting spirit that is sustained even in the face of violent adversity, like a founding father centuries ago. And we thank you, dear God, for protecting his life. We thank you for his examples of nirbha, fearlessness, and nirvair, the absence of hate when faced with vitriol. These examples of extraordinary calm inspire us. Nanak Naam Chardi Kala Tere Bane Sarbatta Pala. May your name forever be exalted, spreading happiness and blessings and good spirit, that everyone may prosper and enjoy the grace of your peace. Thank you.
Wow. Yeah, somebody said not a single Christian had the guts to walk out. Right? And then you have Franklin there, right?
I cannot explain why God, when President Trump rose from that platform, he rose with his fist raised in strength, showing America his unshakable resolve to fight for them in this nation.
So he's going to talk about Jesus there, right? That's another Jesus, another gospel. Because and remember what Tucker just said, right?
I want to be, not sure I am, but I will say this unequivocally and conclusively. God is among us right now. And I think that's enough. God bless you.
Okay, there you go. Right? There you go. They'll get mad at the messenger, though, right? They definitely will. All right, let's see here. Okay, well, we got to play. Let's see if let me see here. Why not? We'll have fun with this one here.
Oh, yes, I remember a poor deluded professor who used to sing me this song.
Billions and billions of years ago, a blob climbed out of the sea. He looked at the sky and yelled, "I'd like to fly," and poof, he sprouted some wings. He climbed up a tree to the very tip-top. He jumped off a limb and he hit with a plop. He broke both his legs, so he started to hop. Ribbit, ribbit. Billions and billions of years ago. We know it's absurd and it doesn't make sense, but we can explain if you give us a chance. We know it's not science, but we're really sincere. And it sure seems to help to add billions of years. Billions and billions of years ago, a frog went out for a stroll. The froggy went, "Brr, I could sure use some fur," and poof, hair started to grow. It grew on his hands and his little webbed feet. It grew on his head and it really looked neat. He thought, "I'm a monkey, I'll swing from a tree." Billions and billions of years ago. Sing it, class.
We know it's absurd and it doesn't make sense, but we can explain if you give us a chance. We know it's not science, but we're really sincere. We're really sincere. And it sure seems to help to add billions of years.
Now, class, listen carefully. Oh, this is the best part. Oh, you're going to love this. Now, listen. Billions and billions of years ago, a monkey sat on a rock.
He said with a wink,
"I'm a genius, I think."
And poof, he started to talk.
Oh, yes, he did. The problems of math he could now understand.
He made a trombone and he started a band. He changed from a monkey right into a man. Billions and billions of years ago.
We know it's absurd and it doesn't make sense, but we can explain if you give us a chance. We know it's not science, but we're really sincere. And it sure seems to help to add billions of years. It sure seems to help to add billions of years.
Billions and billions of years ago.
Very good, class, very good.
All right, everybody. God bless you. I'm getting out of here. Pray for our ministry. No broadcast, obviously, tomorrow. We'll have no preaching tomorrow. We'll have Sunday morning services and probably Sunday afternoon, obviously. But you pray for us, pray for our ministry. We've got folks out of town right now. Brother Paul and his family are on vacation. Brother Andrew and his family are on vacation. So you pray for all of them that they have a great time as they travel and they enjoy each other's company and they're blessed by the Lord. Pray for my children to continue to get better. Pray for Grandpa and his sickness that he would get better. And if you'd like to give to our ministry, I'll give you the opportunity here. You may go to PayPal and send it to salvationpreacher@gmail.com. That's salvationpreacher@gmail.com. Okay? salvationpreacher@gmail.com. You can PayPal us there. Or you can send us Venmo, which is Pastor Cooley at iCloud.com. Apple Pay, same thing, Pastor Cooley at iCloud.com. Or it's my phone number, which is on sermon audio as well, that you can send Apple Pay through there. Or you can do Cash App or any of those other things. Or you could mail it to 1030 South Highway 3, Northfield, Minnesota, 55057. Okay? And all that information is right on our sermonaudio.com/Pastor Cooley page. If you just go there, you can get our information and you can be able to do that. If you have a question about how to give or anything like that, or just any general questions as well, you can email me at salvationpreacher@gmail.com or Pastor Cooley at iCloud.com. Any of those, you can find us. All right, everybody. God bless you. We'll see you.